Remember the hiss of a cassette rewinding as you lined up the perfect mixtape? Or the electric buzz of an arcade? Neon lights glowing as quarters clinked into Pac-Man machines? And maybe you still see the magic of a Polaroid picture slowly fading into view, capturing a moment you could hold right away. These weren't just passing fads, they were milestones of growing up in the 1980s. Before we get started, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more nostalgic journeys. Today, we're revisiting 12 unforgettable things from the 1980s that still live in our hearts. Coming in at number 12. Nothing defined teenage life in the mid to late 1980s quite like mall culture. For kids and teens, the mall was more than just a shopping center, it was the social hub of the decade. Bright neon storefronts, bustling food courts, and arcades tucked between clothing stores made it the perfect all-in-one destination. What made mall culture so iconic was the sense of independence it gave young people. Meeting friends by the fountain, trying on the latest fashions at the Gap, or grabbing an orange Julius between rounds of Pac-Man, every visit felt like an event. The mall was where first crushes happened, where style was copied, and where kids felt part of something bigger. By the 1990s, the rise of online shopping and changing social habits began to chip away at mall culture. But for 80s kids, those weekend trips remain unforgettable. The echo of footsteps on shiny tiled floors, the smell of pretzels and popcorn, and the thrill of freedom, malls were the stage where teenage memories were made. Coming in at number 11. Few cultural moments defined the early 80s like the E.T. the extraterrestrial craze. After Steven Spielberg's film hit theaters in 1982, kids everywhere fell in love with the gentle alien who just wanted to phone home. Suddenly, E.T. was everywhere, on lunchboxes, pajamas, toys, and of course, Reese's Pieces, the candy forever linked to his trail through the movie. What made the E.T. craze unforgettable was the way it transcended cinema. It wasn't just a movie, it was a phenomenon. Children reenacted the iconic bike flying scene in their neighborhoods, quoted lines endlessly, and carried plush E.T. dolls as if they were best friends. The blend of wonder, innocence, and heartwarming storytelling gave kids a hero who felt magical yet relatable. By 1984, the frenzy had quieted as new blockbusters arrived. But for those few years, E.T. was more than pop culture, he was family. For 80s kids, hearing "phone home" still brings back that feeling of wide-eyed wonder, when the impossible seemed just a heartbeat away. Coming in at number 10. The Viewmaster was like a tiny time machine for kids in the early 1980s. This simple plastic viewer, loaded with cardboard reels, could transport you anywhere, from cartoon adventures to famous landmarks, just by clicking a lever. Each chunk brought a new 3D image to life, making the world feel bigger and brighter through those little lenses. What made the Viewmaster unforgettable was its blend of fun and education. One moment you were exploring Disney characters, the next you were looking at the Grand Canyon or outer space. Parents loved it because it felt wholesome, and kids loved it because it felt like their own private window to another world. By the mid-80s, more advanced toys and video games stole the spotlight, and the Viewmaster slowly faded into nostalgia. Still, for children of the decade, that clunky plastic viewer was a treasure, proof that sometimes the simplest technology sparks the biggest imagination. Coming in at number 9. Polaroid cameras were nothing short of magic in the early 1980s. At a time when most photos required film, darkrooms, and waiting days for prints, Polaroids gave you instant gratification. One click, a soft mechanical whir, and out slid a fresh photo slowly developing before your eyes. Families gathered around, shaking the picture as the image appeared. Even if it didn't really make it develop faster, it was all part of the ritual. What made Polaroids special was the way they captured moments in real time. Birthday parties, goofy group shots, Or a simple day at the park could be preserved instantly, giving kids and parents alike a tangible keepsake in seconds. The photos, with their white borders and slightly faded tones, became icons of the era. By the mid-80s, advances in film cameras and later digital technology pushed Polaroids aside. But for 80s kids, those square little snapshots remain timeless, a reminder of when photography was tactile, immediate, and wonderfully imperfect. Coming in at number 8. Lisa Frank school supplies turned ordinary classrooms into rainbows of imagination in the late 1980s. With glittery unicorns, neon dolphins, and star-filled skies splashed across folders, binders, and pencil cases, these supplies weren't just functional, they were magical. Owning Lisa Frank gear meant your backpack carried a piece of fantasy, and every notebook became a canvas of color. What made them unforgettable was how they stood apart from the plain, beige school supplies of the past. Suddenly, kids could express their personalities in bold, whimsical ways, showing off their favorite designs during class or at recess. Collecting different patterns became a mini obsession, and trading items with friends felt almost as important as the homework inside. By the 1990s, Lisa Frank's empire grew even bigger. But it was the late 80s when the craze truly took off, cementing her place in pop culture. For kids of that era, unzipping a neon pencil pouch or flipping open a dolphin-covered binder was a reminder that even school could sparkle with joy. Coming in at number 7. Leg warmers became one of the most unlikely fashion crazes of the early 1980s. Originally designed for dancers to keep their muscles warm, they jumped from the studio to the streets thanks to the aerobics boom and stars like Jane Fonda. Suddenly, every teen girl wanted a pair, bright, stretchy tubes of fabric that could be layered over leggings, jeans, or even bare legs. What made them stand out was their mix of practicality and flair. They added a splash of color, a sense of movement, and a dash of workout chic to everyday outfits. Whether paired with oversized sweatshirts or neon spandex, leg warmers turned a simple trip to school or the mall into a fashion statement. By the mid-80s, the trend fizzled as fitness fashion moved on and styles became sleeker. But for a few glorious years, pulling on a pair of leg warmers meant you were tuned into the rhythm of the decade. For 80s kids, they remain a vivid memory of a time when exercise and fashion blended into one bold, cozy look. Coming in at number 6. Boom boxes were the ultimate symbol of music culture in the 1980s. These massive, battery-hungry stereos weren't just about sound, they were about presence. Carried on shoulders through city streets or parked at the center of a neighborhood gathering, a boombox announced itself with booming bass and flashing chrome. It turned sidewalks into dance floors and parks into concert halls. What made them so iconic was their role in shaping community and identity. From breakdancers spinning on cardboard to teenagers sharing the latest mixtape, the boombox was both a personal jukebox and a public statement. Its portability meant that music was no longer confined to bedrooms, it was out in the open, alive, and shared. By the late 1980s, smaller cassette players like the Walkman began to take over, offering private listening rather than public performance. Still, nothing could match the feeling of hitting play and watching heads turn as your boombox filled the air. For 80s kids, it was more than a stereo, it was a badge of coolness and a soundtrack to their youth. Coming in at number 5. The Atari 2600 was the console that truly brought video games into American living rooms. Released in the late 1970s but exploding in popularity by the early 1980s. It turned simple graphics and one-button gameplay into hours of pure excitement. Games like Pong, Space Invaders, and Frogger may look primitive today, but back then, they felt groundbreaking, a new kind of entertainment that kids couldn't get enough of. What made the Atari 2600 unforgettable was the sense of control it gave players. With its iconic joystick and single red button, anyone could pick it up and play. From young children to parents curious about this new digital world, families gathered around bulky TVs, marveling at the idea that you didn't have to go to the arcade, you could bring the arcade home. By the mid-1980s, the arrival of the Nintendo Entertainment System overshadowed Atari, offering more advanced graphics and deeper gameplay. Still, for 80s kids, the Atari 2600 was the pioneer, the first real taste of home gaming, where imagination filled in the gaps that the pixels couldn't. Coming in at number 4. The Rubik's Cube was more than just a toy, it was a worldwide obsession in the early 1980s. With its brightly colored squares twisting in endless combinations, it challenged kids and adults alike to solve what seemed like an impossible puzzle. Classrooms, playgrounds, and even office desks were filled with people furiously turning the cube, hoping to align all 6 sides. What made the Rubik's Cube so special was its mix of simplicity and difficulty. Anyone could pick it up, but only a patient few could master it. Some kids cheated by peeling off the stickers or popping out the pieces. But even that became part of the cube's legend. Competitions soon followed, and speedcubers began solving it in mere seconds, turning a casual fad into a serious pursuit. By the mid-80s, the craze cooled as new fads arrived. But the Rubik's Cube never truly vanished. For 80s kids, it remains a nostalgic symbol of persistence, frustration, and triumph, a puzzle that tested your mind but rewarded you with pure satisfaction when you finally snapped that last color into place. Coming in at number 3. Arcades were the heartbeat of early 1980s youth culture. With a pocket full of quarters, kids and teens would gather in neon-lit rooms filled with the sounds of beeping machines, clinking coins, and the steady rhythm of digital music. Games like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Galaga turned ordinary afternoons into epic adventures, each high score a badge of honor among friends. What made arcades so unforgettable wasn't just the games themselves, but the social experience. Crowds would huddle around a machine, cheering on a skilled player or waiting anxiously for their turn. The glow of the screens, the smell of popcorn or pizza nearby, and the thrill of chasing your initials onto the scoreboard made every visit feel electric. By the mid-80s, the rise of home consoles like the Nintendo Entertainment System brought that magic into living rooms, slowly dimming the lure of the arcade. Still, for 80s kids, nothing could replace the adrenaline rush of slipping in a quarter and trying one more time for that elusive high score. Coming in at number 2. Saturday morning cartoons were pure magic for kids growing up in the 1980s. Long before streaming and on-demand TV, this was the one time of the week children controlled the television. By sunrise, bowls of sugary cereal were poured, pajamas stayed on, and eyes were glued to the screen. Shows like He-Man, The Smurfs, G.I. Joe, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles turned living rooms into wonderlands of imagination. What made these mornings so special was the ritual. There were no DVRs or reruns waiting for you. If you missed an episode, it was gone until the network decided to air it again, which only made the experience feel more precious. Parents enjoyed the quiet time, while kids lost themselves in colorful worlds and catchy theme songs that still echo in memory. By the late 1990s, networks shifted to weekday programming and cable channels offered cartoons around the clock. The tradition faded, but for 80s kids, those Saturday mornings remain unforgettable, an entire week's worth of anticipation rewarded with a few golden hours of animated joy. Coming in at number 1. Nothing captures the heart of the 1980s quite like cassette tapes and mixtapes. Before the age of digital playlists, these little plastic rectangles were the soundtrack of our lives. Kids would sit by their boom boxes, fingers ready on the record button, timing it perfectly to capture their favorite songs off the radio. Cutting off the DJ's voice was considered a victory. A mixtape wasn't just music. It was a personal story. Whether it was one you made for your best friend, your crush, or just for yourself, every tape carried memories of long car rides, sleepovers, and summer afternoons. What made them special was their imperfections, the hiss of the tape, the occasional tangle of magnetic ribbon, and the ritual of rewinding with a pencil. But those flaws only made them more human, more real. By the late 1990s, CDs and MP3 players replaced them. But nothing ever matched the intimacy of a carefully crafted mixtape. For 80s kids, pressing play on a cassette was like opening a diary written in songs. So, which of these 12 treasures from the 1980s brought back the clearest memories for you? Was it the magic of watching a Polaroid picture appear in your hands, the thrill of lining up a mixtape on cassette, or the glow of neon arcades filled with laughter? Each of these moments carried a piece of childhood that can never be replaced. Share your favorite memory in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. And if you enjoyed this nostalgic trip, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us for more journeys into America's vintage past.